Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be talking about crows as they appear in Patricia MacLachlan's novel, Just Dance. Patricia MacLachlan has written many books for children, and in every book she talks about nature, about birds and animals. And in this novel, she talks a great deal about crows. So let's talk about them. We first see the crows on page 27. That Sylvie's father points out to her that Elmer Bean has put up 2 scarecrows in his cornfield to chase away the crows. And Elmer Bean is hopeful that this is going to work, but as Sylvie's father keeps saying over and over again, the crows will be back. They will be back. And on page 29, he mentions to her that crows are very smart. They have strong emotional connections with each other. They can recognize a face and they can hatch plots. And hatching plots means making secret plans. And in fact, the crows are very smart, and no matter what Elmer Bean does or the townspeople do, the crows come back again and again to eat the corn in the field. And we find out that Zoe's father knows about crows because he's read about them. If you remember from the introduction, Zoe's father carries books in his saddlebag. And so in this chapter, when they're riding their horses, on page 28, he actually pulls out of his bag a book about birds, and it's called The Exaltation of Larks. And he says on 29, I've read about them, and I will tell you all that I know. Now in this chapter, Zoe's father actually doesn't tell her all that he knows, because there's this really beautiful moment in which he's dancing with his wife in the kitchen. But at the end of the chapter, on page 33, Sylvie writes a poem, Not Invited, a Murder of Crows. And a murder just means a group of crows. So Not Invited, a murder of crows, sly, sleek, eating the bean field. Come see the scarecrows. Elmer in scarlet, Bella in her Sunday hat, really jigs on their heads, amusing the crows as they keep on eating and eating and eating. Well, the townspeople read her poem, and we see on page 36 and 37 that 24 people come to the cornfield. They all come to see the scarecrows. And does this chase away the crows? Maybe a little bit temporarily, but Sylvie's father says with a sly look, they'll be back. So no, the crows are not going to leave that cornfield, not that easily. And by page 50, we see the crows have indeed come back. And that leads her to write a haiku on page 53. Wily crowded crows, back to plunder Elmer's corn. Maybe try sweet song. What does wily mean? Wily means smart and clever. Plunder, of course, is to rob. So she says smart crows. They've come back to rob his corn. Let's try a song. Let's see if a song works. So in chapter 6, Bud points out that all of the townspeople have shown up. They've shown up at the cornfield. They brought a trumpet. They brought violins. They brought flutes. They're all playing music. But Zoe's father points out once again, the crows will be back. They will be back. That's not going to be the end of the crows. By 79, Sylvie is with Bud. There's still a small group of singers. They are singing again to chase away the crows, but the crows have returned. So there you go. Let's move now towards the end of the book. And if you remember, Sylvie becomes sick. And on chapter 10, her father talks with her to encourage her, to make her feel better. And he starts to tell her about the secret lives of crows. And this is on page 96. He began to talk about crows. They feel grief. Grief is sadness. They gather when one dies. They come together when one of the crows dies. They have deep family ties. They know the faces of the humans they like. Then he tells her a story. There was once a small girl who fed the crows peanuts and food she had left over. She had extra food. In return, the crows brought her small, shiny gifts of beads and other objects. Sylvie begins to fall asleep, but she doesn't forget that story. And on page 105, she writes another poem for her log. It says, "The kindness of crows. Someone I know taught me the secret lives of crows, and a child who fed them. Crows left her shiny beads and stones and tiny bones. It was a bargain. Gifts of joy." Sylvie Bloom. And a bargain is, of course, when you go to the store and you see something on sale at a low price and you buy it, you get a bargain. And here there's kind of a sale or an exchange or a transaction. The child leaves the crows some food, and the crows bring her little gifts. So what happens? On page 114, Bud tells Sylvie, "After they read your log, the townspeople are lining the sides of Elmer's cornfield with bits of bread and peanuts, even cashews for the crows. Pancakes too, and several croissants were seen." So all the townspeople have brought food for the crows. So what happens? Let's look at her last poem at the bottom of 115. "Today, two voices ride the wind over meadows." Of course, that's referring to Sylvie's mother and James Grayson. "Today, the crows eat sweet cakes and leave 7 shiny beads, leaving the corn to Elmer. A deal is made." The crows have made a deal. The townspeople have brought food for the crows, and in return, they're not going to eat the corn anymore. Life is simple, just dance. Sylvie Bloom. And I hope you've enjoyed this video about the crows in the novel Just Dance. Thank you.